Vic, you saw the video that I created, and I said the term fuzz sandwich quite a bit. When did that come? When did you start using that term fuzz sandwich?
Well, I got very interested in the fact that people would freeze and be hypnotic when a ball was coming at them. And so I said, you know, if you get hit in the mouth, what's that going to be like? And then I said, well, you got a fuzz, and it's in your mouth. It's a fuzz sandwich. And so the idea was to get people to make sure that they never got a fuzz sandwich.
So when you hit a short ball, you're asking for one, right?
Yeah, any time you are going to decrease time, and the human can only move at like 100 milliseconds to move, and if you don't have that kind of time, and there are other people who freeze. We've had people who run to the net and go, I'm going to get hit, and they're right. You know, you got to use the time you've got to protect yourself. So anyway, there are quite a few people who've got a fuzz sandwich.
What year did you start saying that, you think?
I don't know, it was in the 70s, I think.
70s?
Yeah.
Now, you know, my website's about older people, might not be in perfect shape for this. What do you think's the three biggest things adults need to consider so that they can make tennis a sport for life? Well,
I think first is to have fun. People who want to play for life have got to have fun. Secondly, they need to get in shape a little bit. There doesn't matter how old you are, you can improve your shape. You've got to get in shape. Because if you hit 3 balls and then you need a nap, you're in a little trouble. So in your video, you talk about getting in shape and some of the exercises that you can do, but that's critical. And then I think the other thing about it is to really know what you're trying to do, to understand rationale. What is it that you're trying to do on a tennis court and why? So many people just say, well, all you got to do is hit the ball back, but it's quite a bit more complicated than that. There are about 30 million people playing in the United States right now, but what I'm interested in is the millions of people who never make a gain. Mm-hmm. And why don't they make a gain? And because they don't pay attention to detail. And tennis is about detail. You know, if you think about it, and I've talked about this a million times, 50% of all people who play around the world today will lose in tennis. That's a big number. You know, there are a lot of people who play sports where you can tie. But in tennis, you either win or you lose. And so if you're losing all the time, it'd be in your best interest to find out why you're losing and then make those changes. But anybody who's a good athlete or good at anything, they find out what their problems are. That's why I like to always call our place a mistake center. It's where you come to make mistakes, discover the mistakes, discover the cures, and then and make the changes. And if you don't want to make the changes, no problem. I remember this lady who never changed, and I said, but she always looked happy. And I said, I don't understand it. You never win, and you always laugh. She said, I love watching them smile when they kill me. And I go, geez, I never realized I was going to work with masochistic tendencies also.
Hey, Vic, you told me, I heard you tell a story about some super seniors. Could you tell me that story?
Well, it was the super senior story, the best one I've ever liked. I was at the 90 and over division in Palm Springs. And a 93-year-old guy is playing a 91-year-old guy. And you know, now there's a 90 and over legal division. Right. And the 91-year-old guy was an animal, and he's diving for shots, he's crashing the fence for lobs, and he's beating the 93-year-old guy. And the 93-year-old guy was just ticked, and I didn't know what's going on. And he's just screaming his head off, and he just finally just shouted out, he goes, oh, to be 90 again. All he wanted to be was 90 years old. And I'm going, wow, is that terrific for tennis? And I was just so angry that I didn't have my camera ready, because what a commercial that would have been for tennis. You know, all he wanted to be was 90. You know, so anyway, it shows you that even in the 90s, competition is still fun.
Well, I heard of a guy that was, he tore his rotator cuff, and he served underhand and still won, and he was in his 90s.
Yeah, you know, 90 is, anticipation becomes more important because you don't have the natural speed. But if you're guessing where the ball's going to go and you're accurate. You can make up for speed. So there are a lot of wonderful things you can do. I was at a track one day, and this man was running pretty far out, but he just had a wonderful stride. And I go, wow, there's a pretty good athlete out there. Who is that? And it was a judge who's 88 years old, but he had perfect form running a track.
Wow.
So, you know, the age is not an issue anymore. Do Bundy, 90 years old or something, won more trophies than any man in the United States. Still, I was doing
She had some tricks though, didn't she?
Yeah, she always plays injured, and
Pretends to play injured.
or yeah, pretends, and she'll go, oh, I don't know if I can make it through the day, and she beats everybody love, and then goes, I was lucky, but I was doing a thing with her son, and I said, you know, she was 80 some years old at the time, and I said, you know, we should get your mom into this video that we're doing. He said, well, you can't. She's playing in a tournament in Mahwah, New Jersey. You know, that's what's so wonderful about sport. About tennis, that you can play, you know, way later in years, and it's beautiful. Yeah.
Now, when you were growing up, who were some of your idols?
Well, first of all, my idols were mostly basketball originally.
Oh.
But in tennis, because I coached basketball at University of Toledo, I was assistant basketball coach there. But Jack Kramer was my key idol in tennis. I liked him because he had a lot of class. He won with real grace. He was not an egomaniac, but he liked to study. He was playing Bobby Riggs, for example, in the first tour, and he's lost the first 3 matches. And then he said, I got him right where I want him. He's 0 for 3, and he said, yeah. He said, I spent the first 3 matches figuring out who he is and what I need to beat him. And then Jack, I think, won like 30 some in a row.
Oh, wow.
But that you just gotta like a guy like that. And then he was the guy really responsible for helping get the Open tennis. He fought for it for years, and finally, when we got the Open, he was the first director of Association of Tennis Pro Tennis, and so he's just done so much for the game. And he passed away last year, which was really tragic for me. It's been very difficult to even imagine his death, but biggest net rusher in the world. And he had made common sense. Pancho Segura was telling me, he said, you know, Jack was such a great champion. He said, I was injured one time and we're playing that night after night tour in every different city. He said, I think it was Houston. He said, I could hardly walk. So I thought Jack would be easy on me, and Jack beat me in just unbelievable, like 20 some minutes in front of all those people. And then he said, I said to Jack later, I said, Jack, you know, he's injured and everything. He said, kid, he said, never fall for that. He said, when somebody's injured, beat their brains out and take them to lunch. And that's a pretty good thing. Don't fall for that, because that's what Do Cheney did. And Ken Rosewall, Lou Hode told me the same thing. He said, when I first started playing, I'd see, we call them muscles, and Rosewall would put his head down and everything, and he said, then you start letting up a little bit, and he beats you. He said, I found when people put their head down and everything, you dig in, man, because you're about to have a real battle.